Hello, good morning, everyone who all are joining in and who may join later in the event/webinar today. And I hope that you all are doing fine, safe, sound, and happy at wherever you're taking this session from. So today we have gathered here to talk about sustainable diet. And our topic is recent advances in sustainable diet and nutrition. So when we talk about the fitness and nutrition, diet comes along with that, and we are going to have a lot more discussion on diet with our expert here. So I am going to introduce our expert. We have Dr. Jyoti Singh. She is an academic honored in Masters of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics from lovely professional university here. And her area of expertise include maternal and child nutrition, clinical and applied nutrition, food service facilities and management, medical nutrition therapy, and nutrition and physical fitness. She excels in hands-on experience with modification of diet according to disease conditions and patient counseling. Her current research interests include fortification of food, formulation of functional foods, nutritional surveys, and waste product development. She has published more than 50 research and reviews papers in refer and peer journals of national and international repute, and has filed more than 30 patent ideas already in the field of food and nutrition. She has guided more than 30 master students in in their dissertation, and has helped more than 50 students in capstone projects in her 7 years of experience in LPU. And she has also been awarded first prize in oral presentation at second conference, national conference on New Horizons in Human Health and Nutrition from Shulin University. Ma'am, it is a pleasure for us to be able to listen you in the webinar to gain the knowledge about the diet and the nutrition, because it is the hot topic. I mean, everybody talks about it now, the physical fitness and the diets. So we are all eager to learn from you. And before I request you to carry on and shower the knowledge upon us, I want all the participants to know that now you can post your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box, or you can just raise your hand at the end of the session so that we can allow you to talk to our expert here directly and can have chat session. So with this, ma'am, I request you to please take over the screen, and looking forward for an amazing session.
Thank you so much for the great introduction. So I am Dr. Jyoti Singh, and I'm serving in the Department of Food Technology and Nutrition. So today I'm here to present knowledge on the recent advances in sustainable diets and nutrition. So when we talk about sustainability, we all know that nowadays, we are focusing more on sustainable. We are hearing about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, 17 SDGs, and every organization, every institute, everybody is working on it. And why the sustainability is important? Because obviously the survival is important. So that's why we need to have the sustainability for the resources. We need to have the sustainability for the availability of the food. We need to have the sustainability of, of everything. So when we talk about sustainability, we talk about, the food which is required for the sustenance of the life. So in that queue, here comes a term which is sustainable diet. Because obviously when we need to have the sustainability, when we need to have the survival, we need to have food for it, right? And that is why the sustainable diet is actually very important. So why we are concerned about the sustainable diet? So obviously because nowadays we are facing lots of environmental crisis and global climate change. When we talk about environmental crisis on global climate change, we know about it, that what we are giving to the nature is giving back to us. So the famine, the flood nowadays, which we are seeing, is leading to what is food insecurity, the non-availability of the food, the non-affordability of the food, increase in the price of, the foods, the raw ingredients, the crops, the grains, everything. So that is why, the sustainable diets, they are actually very important. And obviously, when we talk about the growth of the population, increase in the number of the population. So when the population is increasing, the demand also increases. And when the demand increases, it is the duty, of us, of the governing bodies to provide the availability of the food to each and every individual. So agriculture sector plays a major role in it. If we talk about the role of the agriculture, so the agriculture plays a major role because not only it provides the food, but it actually uses the resources as well. Because when you talk about the growth of the crop, the harvesting of the crop, so it actually gives us, the food, but in terms of that, it is actually using the natural resources also. So we all know that, when we talk about the global climate change, we talk about the GHG, which is greenhouse gas emission, which is actually basically the leading cause of the global climate change. So the greenhouses, which are, your carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, methane gas, which is getting released by the deforestation, by the landfills, by the this thing, the farming, rice, paddy farming, everything. So this is actually affecting the climate. It is actually affecting the air. It is actually affecting the earth. So that is why it is very important to know the importance of the sustainable diet and to take care of these, the emission of the gases, and so that we will be able to improve the negative climate change. And obviously, as the population increases, it has been stated that by 2015, the requirement for food production is going to be doubled. No, so that is why the sustainable diet is important. So when we talk about from sustainable development towards the sustainability, so yes, the sustainable development, which we define it as the development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation. Because the resources which we are using, in terms of food, in terms of coal, in terms of petrol, in terms of water, this needs to be used in a limited form so that we are going to keep it safe for the future generation as well. So that is why the Sustainable Development Goal came into existence, that we need to work on the 17 goals so that the survival of the human, of the animal, of the life beings are going to be possible on the earth. So when we talk about the concept of sustainability, so basically it is actually dependent on the natural, economical, and social system, right? And this is the process which we move, which take us towards the sustainability, that we need to have, the natural resources with us, economical resources with us, social system with us, so that the sustainability is going to be possible. So when we talk about the sustainable development towards sustainability, there are three triple bottom line which you can see on the screen. That is social, which is again by the people, environment by the planet, and the economic, which is again in terms of profit. So the graph easily represents that, that it is like we always say that whenever we talk about the practical things, it is very easy to talk about the problems, but it is very difficult to work on the problems, to give the solution of the problem, to start the intervention strategies. So yes, it is difficult to measure, but even more difficult to put in practice. So why there is need, of the sustainability? What are the role of these three bottom lines? So yes, the economic, environmental, and social performance, these measures are going to have a large number of indicators, which again, where these indicators are the one where we need to work on, where we need to put our efforts. They keep changing over the time, and obviously they are the subject of the tough debate. That because, for example, if we talk about environment, so like I said that, the agriculture is the only source which provides us the, the raw material, the food, the crops, everything. But to, grow those crops, to increase the production, lots of natural resources are used. So that is why it's the subject of this debate. So, like we all know that there are 17, SDG goals, but today we are going to more focus on the 4 SDG goals, which you can see that is SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, zero hunger, SDG 3, that is good health and well-being, and SDG 13, that is climate action. Because when we talk about health, when we talk about food, it is very important to provide food to every individual, the affordability, the availability, and obviously the healthy food which is safe for the consumption. So if we are going to work on the poverty, because like if we talk about India, which is still a developing country, the underdeveloped countries, they all have the scarcity of the food. The underdeveloped countries, they have scarcity of the food. They have high rate of malnutrition. They have high rate of PEM, which is actually affecting the growth of the children, which is actually affecting the life life of the people, which is actually affecting their productivity. That is why it is very important to know the importance of these SDG goals. The intervention strategies need to be developed so that we can improve the health of the people. We can improve, the programs which are already running for providing the food to the needy category of the society. And yes, when we are going to work on the poverty, this will lead to the, it will provide, it will increase the capability of getting the food, of, purchasing the food, and this will lead to zero hunger and yes, of course, good health and well-being. So yes, these four SDG goals are very important when we talk about the sustainable diet. So when we talk about the threats to the food system sustainability, because when you talk about the food, it is actually a web from where it is coming, where it is going, right? How it is utilized. This is all if the web, which we also term it as food chain, food supply chain. So there are certain threats to the food sustainability, which is actually leading to the non-availability of the food, which has raised the eyebrows of all the policymakers for the food security issues. So the first and utmost important, you can say that the indicator is urbanization. Because when we talk about the urbanization, so if we see the pattern, like you can see it on the graph, that from 1950 to 2000, like the future, the prediction in 2050 is that we can see that, the rural population to the urban population ratio is affected, is actually increasing in terms of the urban population. Like if you see that in 1950, the percentage of the rural population in billion was high, but if you compare it to 2025 or 2000, in between 2020 to 25, the urban population has been increased. So one of the reasons that why, the shift in the dietary pattern, the shift in the eating pattern, lifestyle pattern is seen is the urbanization only, because the high income people, people who are falling into that, the top categories, they are actually, their lifestyle has been drastically changed. The less physical activity, the more consumption of the processed food, the instant foods, the ready-to-eat food have affected the health adversely. And that is the reason that why the non-communicable diseases, for example, your diabetes, your hypertension, cardiovascular disease, cancer, they are rapidly increasing. And it is said that by 2050, like predicted that by 2050, almost 3/4 of the population will be the sufferer of the NCD, and which is a great statistic. The serious concern that the NCDs, they are the deadly disease. They are actually, like if we talk about hypertension, we call it a silent killer, because it doesn't show any symptom. It doesn't show any, the visible cause, visible symptom, and it kills the person from inside, which leads to the other type of cardiovascular disease also. The diabetes, again, a very deadly disease. It actually leads to, it's the risk factor. It leads to so many other diseases. Obesity, which is generally seen in the urban population behind the people. So these all are affecting the lifestyle, the living pattern, and the health of the people, right? Like obviously the people who are getting paid more, so they have more availability to buy, the processed food. They have more, chances of buying all the labor saving devices. So this has reduced the physical activity. This has reduced the, the behavior change, right? And due to that only, we can see that the increase of the NCD is seen. NCDs are increasing day by day, right? So that is why this is one of the major threats. So we have talked about everything now. When we talk about the sustainability, we have talked about climate change, how the nature is giving back to us, how it is actually doing everything. And when all these scenario comes, then the role of the sustainable diet comes, and this is actually a very important thing to know about. The knowledge regarding the sustainable diet is very important, because not only this is related to health, but this is also related to environment. We need to save the environment, we need to save the resource. That is what is SDG goal about. So when we talk about the sustainable diets, so these are basically the type of the diet which has no impact on the environment, which is going to take less resources from the environment, which is going to contribute more in the nutrition security. And obviously, it will be helpful for the future generation as well. So when we define the sustainable diet, so we define it like, they are very protective, they are respectful to the biodiversity, they do not do any harm to the environment, they are respectful to the ecosystem, they are culturally acceptable also. Because, when we talk about the modification in the diet, when we talk about change in the diet, so it is actually, the first thing which comes into the mind of any individual is that there is going to be a drastic change. Are we going to accept it? So no, the sustainable diet is not something, the rocket diet or alien type of diet, which is going to be quite different from what we know. It is not like that. Sustainable diet is the diet, which use less resources. And obviously, when we talk about the planning of the sustainable diet or what characteristic it should have, so it should always be culturally acceptable. You cannot harm the, any traditional or cultural belief of any particular, the category or the particular, we can say that the particular kind of society or this group of the people. So yes, it should be economically fair. It should not be too expensive to buy, to afford. It should be nutritionally adequate also, because yes, when we talk about the sustainability, we talk about the sustainable diet. So it should not, play with the allowances, the daily allowances which a human being require, right? And obviously, it should have wild optimization of nature and human resource. So when we talk about the sustainable diets, these are the basic factors, which we need to keep in the mind when we are working on the sustainable diet. So yes, it should be eco-friendly, it should be local, and it should be, it should have the more inclusion of the seasonal food. So there should be no, you can say that the pressure on the farmer also, of the local people also, that they have to grow something which is different, which is not grown in their area. So for that, what we need to do, we need to identify, the food items, the crops, the vegetables, the fruits, which are native to that place, and they are not, we can say that, which are not explored more, right? But they have the nutritional content. Like for example, if we talk about, the underutilized food crop, for example, black carrot, for example, some wild fruits, they are rich in antioxidant, but they are not consumed at all. Like black carrot, they were dumped to the cattle as a, you can say that as a feed, as a fodder. So these things, like these kind of underutilized crops, should be identified for their nutritional, composition, for their nutritional benefit, and then they should be promoted for the farming, right? So like that, only food and nutrient needs, food security, accessibility, that is the important point. Because when we talk about the sustainability, it's very important that the food, the diet should be affordable by the everyone, should be approachable to everyone, should be nutrient rich, it should not harm the culture, the tradition of any individual, right? And obviously, it should be healthy, so that it should be reducing the burden of malnutrition, the burden of the non-communicable disease. It should improve the lifestyle, right? And obviously, it should not have the negative impact on the climate. Like I said, that the agriculture field, they also utilize lots of natural resources, and there are certain emissions which comes out from the fertilizer which we dump into the lands for the more yield of the crops. They also emit certain kind of gases which are the part of the greenhouse gas emission, and that destroys the climate, the air, the earth, the atmosphere, right? So that is why it is very important that the sustainable diet should target all these things. And obviously, equity, fair trade, because obviously it should be according to the affordability. It should be, it should be afforded by a low income group person also. So when we talk about the sustainable healthy diet, so where we need to focus on, what kind of tips we should follow, what kind of you can say that the principle we should follow when we talk about the sustainable healthy diet. So it is very important that the sustainable healthy diet, the principle should be followed since the start of the life, and the life starts when a child takes birth, right? So it is very important to increase the awareness of the breastfeeding practices, because mothers, or the women from the rural area, from the very rural area, slum area, they don't know the importance of the breast milk. And if, even if they know, because I have seen, we have done lots of survey work in the rural area, even if they know that, the breast milk is good for the child, for the growth of the child. So what they used to do, they used to give breast milk up to 2 years of age, up to 3 years of age, because for them it is food for the baby. So obviously they can't afford, the meal for every individual who is there in the family. They have big family, like 6 members, 7 members in the family, 5, 6, 7 kids in the family. So they can't, afford food for everyone. So what they used to do, they used to give breast milk to the child up to 2 or 3 years of age, so that, that portion, or that, the quantity of the food is going to be reduced from their budget. So these kind of practices is blindly followed in the rural areas, so that the sustainability for health starts from the initial days of the life only. That awareness for the breastfeeding, for the colostrum, that's the first milk which comes out from the mother's breast just after the delivery of the baby, that needs to be given. And for how long that should be given, that is what is the major concern. Because mothers, they don't know, how much to give, when to give, till what age to give. So exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months of age, no weaning, no other food, no, pre-lacteal formulas like honey, grapevine water, kheer, these kind of things should not be given up to 6 months of age. Exclusive breastfeeding should be given, not even the water should be given, right? Even if it is summer, like mother thinks that, if it is summer, so, we need to give lukewarm water to the child, or we need to give like more water content, as it's too hot. So no, the breast milk is the wholesome food, complete wholesome food for the child, and nothing else should be given up to 4 to 6 months of age. So that's very important. And after that, as the child grows, the breast milk quantity is not going to be affected, but the quality is affected. So the nutrients, they are going to be lesser as compared to the growth of the child, like what is required by the child. So that is why it's very, very important to, give the exclusive breastfeeding up to a certain age. And after that, it should be like, more inclusion of the fruits, the vegetables, cereal, the pulses, the eggs into the diet, so that, the complementary feeding will help in the proper growth of the child. Then when we talk about the second one, so this is basically the minimal uses of the processed food, because obviously nowadays we have seen, everybody is into eating junk, everybody is into, consuming more of the processed food. So like colas, carbonated beverages, then your pizzas, burgers, and all these are, the processed form of the food, which you get it from the market. It has lots of cheese, lots of mayonnaise, all these, junk is actually affecting our health. And it's a serious issue, because, if you compare the calorie content also, so a burger has the more calorie content than, portion size of chapati and vegetable. And that too is more in saturated fat, that too is more in fat content. So obviously it's not healthy, but the trend, the westernization has shifted our dietary pattern. We are more into eating the processed food items, so that should be minimized, because all your processed food items, they have what? They have all your, preservatives, additives, colors, and these are carcinogenic compounds. They are actually getting accumulated into the body, producing more of the free radicals and so many things, right? So when we talk about the next one, so that is again, we have to include lots of fiber into our diet, lots of fruits into our diet, like from fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, because fiber plays a major role in maintaining the health and especially from the cardiovascular, it prevents the cardiovascular disease, it prevents the NCD, so it should be included in the diet. There should be moderate inclusion of eggs, dairy, poultry, and fish, and small amount of red meat. Sustainable diet doesn't mean that your diet should be completely based on the vegan type of diet. No, we can include, but again, that into the moderate amount, not in the liberal amount. That's very important to notice. It's very important to know. Then, yes, the energy from the food which comes to the body, it should always be in the balanced form. You should never over consume, you should never under consume. It should always be the adequate amount. Everybody should know that how much the energy, how much calories we require as per our age, as per our sex, as per our physical activity, and that should be consumed. Safe, clean water should be used. The potable water should be used for the cooking purpose, for the drinking purpose, to be healthy and to be, free from the infectious disease, from the waterborne disease, because they are the major cause of, the illness and the sickness. Then we should always follow the WHO guidelines for the prevention of NCDs. That includes low consumption of salt, more inclusion of fruits, vegetables into the diet, more inclusion of the fiber, more inclusion of the fluid, physical activity, and all this, which makes you away from all the non-communicable disease. And yes, the toxins, the pathogens, or the foodborne diseases should be prevented, right? And that should be only prevented when we eat healthy food, when we eat organic food, which is free from insecticide, pesticides, and so on. So that was all about, we can say that, the individual, or the healthy impact. Now when we talk about the environmental impact, so that includes everything, like the less use of insecticide, pesticides. Then again, we have to maintain the greenhouse emission also from the agricultural field. Their emission should be reduced, the pollution, the air pollution should be reduced, the industrial waste should be minimized, right? And deforestation should be stopped, and all these things which are the major reason of the climate change. Then when we talk about the socio, the cultural aspects, yes, like gender related aspects should be targeted, because, in India, if we talk about, like, even like I said, that we did the surveys and we have talked about the people from the community, from the rural population. So, still now also we have the kind of, you can say that the ritual that, the women used to eat at last. She is going to serve the mothers, the wives, the caretakers. They are going to serve the family first, and then at the end they are going to eat. So these kind of, gender-related, you can say that biasness should be removed from the families, from the society. Allocation of the food, because if you talk about the rural population also, like I said, yes, gender bias still exists. So what they do, they are going to give more food to the baby boy and less food to the baby girl. So this gender biasness need to be stopped, because when you talk about a woman health, a girl health, so it is not only, important when she is giving birth, or when she is pregnant, when she is lactating. It is important at every stage of the life. So it should start from the birth only, because the nutrient reserve, the essential nutrients like folic acid, and all the other micronutrients, they are important from the birth only, right? The reserves are going to be made from the birth only. So that is why every stage of the life, the women should be provided with the healthy food, healthy diet, healthy lifestyle. And yes, it should be accessible, it should be desirable. Then use of plastic and, the plastic derivatives should be completely avoided, or they should be minimized, because again, the transfer of the food or the material which is there in the packaging is again the, is very deadly. It's not good for the health. Then antibiotics and hormones which are produced to increase the yield of the vegetable, the fruit especially, they should be completely avoided because yes, they are not only affecting the nutrient content of the fruit, but the hormones, the color additives which are added, they are actually affecting the human health as well, the animal health as well. Then yes, we need to, like I said, that it's very important to be connected with the culture, with the tradition. So the sustainable diet should never harm any cultural belief, any traditional belief, and food waste and food losses should also be reduced. So nowadays, people they are working on the agricultural waste, the agro waste, the valorization of the agro waste, because the waste which is coming out from the industries or from the agricultural land, they are also in any way helpful to us. They are healthy to us. They're nutritional to us. So the researchers should go, should be on these agricultural waste, how to utilize it, how to incorporate it into the food, etc. So if we talk about the benefits for the sustainable diet, so yes, the sustainable diet, they are beneficial to the environment also because they require less resources. If you talk about plant-based diets, so less resources, and they are not going to affect the climate. It also reduces the greenhouse gas emission because when we talk about organic farming, where we are not using any insecticide, pesticide, anything, any chemicals, any chemical fertilizer to the crop for the growth of the crop. So it reduces the emission of CO2, nitric oxide into the environment. Preservation of the biodiversity. Yes, we are maintaining that food supply chain also. We are preserving the biodiversity also. We are preserving the water resources also. Especially the change in the agricultural process is required, like the crop diversification is required, so that we are not wasting the resources, we are not wasting the land, we are not wasting the time, and the again, the yield is also going to be fine. Health benefits, we have to reduce the chances of the NCDs, we have to reduce the chances of the chronic diseases, and obviously we have to improve the health status of the individual. So this is very important when we, talk about the sustainable diet, that it is not only related to health, it is not only related, to the body of the individual, it is actually related to the environment. It is actually related to the nature. So when we talk about the principle of the sustainable diet, so yes, plant-based diet is actually the foundation, right? The plant-based, the vegan diet, the animal products should be consumed less. It doesn't mean that you have to completely avoid the animal-based product, but yes, red meats they should be used in very judicial form. Then the major focus should be there for the local seasonable food because they are cheaper source also, they are rich in nutrients also, easily available also, easy to grow also, easy to harvest also. Minimization of the food waste is very important, right? Because when you waste the food, when you don't eat your meal, just think of that there are millions of children who don't get food to eat, who don't get meal to eat. They haven't, seen food since weeks. Their body is starving. So food wastage is a very serious issue. So the policy makers should work on it. Like nowadays, the NGOs have taken the initiative that the people can, deposit the food depository is also there. The people can come whatever food they have, the leftover they have, they can deposit it into the unit. And, even the food vans are also there, which keeps on moving in the night, or, the hotels, the banquets, they also have their numbers. So they can just contact them and they can deposit whatever waste, whatever sort of not waste, the leftover is there. Yes, the water and energy conservation, because that's our main, the sustainability and the climate action. So these are the principles. Now comes where the role of agriculture and farming practices come. Like I said that, the major focus should be there on the organic farming because the less uses of insecticide, pesticide is not only going to, improve the health of the animals, of the humans, but this is also going to be good for the lands, for the soil health. So it's very important that, organic farming, regenerative farming should be promoted. Agroforestry and permaculture, like, The other sources, like if you have seen it, or if you have seen the example that people, they are going to use the rice pea for the pisciculture also. They grow fishes into it. So these kind of businesses, these kind of the culture can be adapted. The crop rotation should be done. Then the diversification, the crop diversification should be done, and new technologies, smart technologies like drone technologies and in smart irrigation system, they should be adapted so that instead of using the hormones, instead of using these things, hormone injections, chemicals, insecticides, chemical fertilizer to increase the yield of the crop. These new technologies and precision technologies, irrigation technology should be adapted, which again is going to help the in the increasing of the yield of the crop. Now comes that we have talked about problem, we have talked about sustainable diet. What about intervention? Who is going to start the intervention? So yes, there is need of the policy and the global initiative. There is need of the programs, the initiation of the programs which works on the sustainable diet. So the first is the Sustainable Development Goal, which is again working very positively. The countries, the organizations, they are working very positively towards the achievement of the SDGs. The national and the international policies on promoting sustainable diet, these kind of initiatives should be taken, right? Like these things should be inculcated into the school, into the primary school, into the villages. The awareness camps should be organized. The people should be taught how to utilize the local crop, how to grow the local crop, how to, use the new technologies into the agricultural field, the farming equipment, the new farming equipment, and all these things. And there should be collaboration between the NGOs, national crop, the government sector, the private sector, so that everybody will work together and will reach the goals. So what are the tips for incorporating the sustainable diet? Like I said, the sustainable diet is not any rocket kind of diet or not any kind of, the diet for the aliens. It is actually the existing diet only. We just need to modify few things into our diet, into our lifestyle, into our behavior. So like I said, more plant-based diet, plant-based meals should be incorporated. Locally and seasonal food items should be included in the diet. Say food waste should be reduce, or the mindful consumption should be promoted. And yes, we support sustainable food producer and retailer, the brands which are growing the things organically, right? So there are a few logos here, or we can see the labels also at the food recycle label, triple R labels and all these things, organic labels, to know that this food is grown organically, and we should promote these producers. So WHO also has given the guidelines for the sustainable, healthy diet. So few of the things we have already discussed, that the exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months, and the breastfeeding should be continued up to 2 years of age. Then we have to balance the energy expenditure, whatever is required, that should only go into the body, so that extra energy resources or the energy is not going to be stored in the form of fat, in the form of the calories into the body. Fat is a very serious issue. So the fat intake should always be less than 30% of the calories. So the range which we usually put for the adult is 15 to 20%, not more than that. And again, the use of the saturated fat should be very minimal, like less than 1% of the total calories. The sugar-free sugar should also be reduced, like 10% of the total energy intake, less than that. Salt consumption should also be reduced, like to decrease the chances of the cardiovascular disease and hypertension. So less than 5 grams per day. Very important is again the antioxidant into the diet, the fiber into the diet. So for that we need to consume more vegetables, fiber, fruits, salads into the diet. So WHO states that minimum 400 grams of fruits and vegetables at least should be taken in a day. So what is the conclusion of the sustainability or the sustainable diet, that there are more researches, there are more studies which are required for the social and the economic dimension of the diet. There are more steps by the government, by the policymakers are required to intervene the problems, to intervene into the the issues like malnutrition, PEM, which is actually reducing the productivity of the humans, and which is also decreasing the health of the human, right, of the children especially, is required. Then there should be transition more towards the sustainable diet. So less meat, more seasonal legumes, vegetables, fruits into the diet. Protein, because we consume protein from the animal sources only, and again from the supplements also. Like people, those who go to gym, those who are more physically active, they are more into eating protein formulas, protein powder. So rather than going from the chemical for the chemical form of the protein, we should adopt more, the protein sources from the plant-based sources, or the the vegetable sources. So they should be used for providing the protein. And the different actors which are involved, like agricultural industries, retailer, food services, policymakers, scientists, they should be involved in providing the sustainability, in improving the health of the humans, of the individual, of the group of the people. Because it is not only related to diet. A person is not only healthy by consuming the good food, the person should be healthy by mind, the person should be healthy socially also. So positive health will only be achieved when a person is physically, mentally, and socially healthy. So for that, there is need of the involvement of all the different sectors. Like we talk about agriculture, we talk about industries. Like I said, that the wastage which is dumped out from the industries, that is also affecting the environment, that is also affecting the atmosphere, the air. And the behavior shift is very important. When we talk about the behavior shift, it's very important that when you are putting knowledge into the minds of the individual, when you are arranging the nutrition camps, the medical camps to the needy people, to the rural population, to the semi-rural population, it is not about giving the knowledge. It is actually, it's all about changing their behavior after giving the knowledge. So that is very important, that all the nutritional campaigns, medical campaigns, or the awareness camp, they should target the behavior change, not only just dumping the knowledge into their minds, but it's not going to change anything. So that is very important. Behavior change, behavior shift is very important. So for that, again, the waste should be reduced. There should be smarter food design, policies should be made, right? More usage of the new technology for the benefit, not for, not, it should be used as a labor saving device, which leads to less physical activity. So no, the technology should always be used for the positive effects, not for the negative impact on the health. So that's all about the topic, the sustainable diet, the sustainable nutrition for the survival of the humans, for the sustainability. So that's all from my side. Now the session is open for the query. If you have any query, we can answer it. We can have the discussion on it.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. And before we move on to the questions, I would like to extend my thanks to you for coming in here, ma'am, and giving this insightful presentation. And when I was listening this presentation, I actually was getting an idea as to what actually is needed. This is told in the presentation. Like, you have told the problem, you have given a pathway, you've navigated a pathway that this is how we can have the solution as well. And like in the last, when you were concluding, I actually got this quote, that a thought without an action is just a thought. So we know that these things are affecting us, and yet we're not doing anything. It is just a thought. So we need to like, we as human beings also, we need to prepare ourselves that we should not dump weights outside. Apart from the industries that has the heavy dump, we as an individual can also do our part in saving the world, the climate, and have the good diet. Thank you, ma'am. So okay, now I just want all the participants, if you have any questions, you can write in the Q&A box or the chat box. And meanwhile, ma'am, I'm going to take some of the questions from our registrants. So this first question, okay, it is from an anonymous attendee, and it says, ma'am, how do we find what calorie do we need in our life? Okay, so I think basically the question is, how can one analyze that the calorie they want and they need in their life? I mean, in their workout maybe, or in their daily routine.
Yeah, so it's actually all related to certain factors. When we talk about how much we need, so there are certain factors which should be, kept in the mind to analyze the calories. Because when we analyze the calories, the standard is being already given by ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research, which gives us the RDA values. We call it as recommended dietary allowances, which is for all the age group depending on what is their sex, what is their physical activity, and what is their age. So on the basis of that, the RDA is already been given, but that is not the, we can say that the individual requirement. That is the standard which is being said that up to this much calorie a person should consume. Like for example, if I talk about a sedentary female who is not involved in much of the physical activity like us, so we require 1660 calories, that's it, 1660 calories. But same women, when she is going to be pregnant, her requirement is going to be changed. So she will be requiring plus 350 kilocalories. Same women, when she is going to be a lactating mother, she will be requiring more calories. So plus 660 kilocalories in first 0 to 6 months. So this totally depends on what is the physiological status of the individual. Standard is already being given, but again, what is the physical activity of the individual? How much time he consumes when he uses in the form of the physical activity? What is his job occupation? What is his sex? Because females require less calories as compared to the male because of their body composition. Like males, they have more muscle mass. Females, they have more fat mass. So depending on that, the calories are, they are going to be changing. But that is totally based on the individual body, their physical parameters. So
So
we
basically,
follow RD for that.
so basically, we have the standard measurements, and after that, what we do, we can have the calculation, and hence we get our calorie. I mean, whatever we need, right? Right. Ma'am, when I was listening to the webinar, I was actually thinking about one question. Like, if we want to have a sustainable diet, we have to replace all the animal products, like basically meat, fish, etc., to vegetable-based product, right?
No, it is not like we have to completely restrict the animal-based diet. We have to use it judicially in the diet. So like red meat should be avoided, the organ meat should be avoided because yes, it has the accumulation because the animal cholesterol and everything is accumulated in that only. So that's why red meat, that's not the good source of the fat, and that's why it increases the chances of the non-communicable diseases. So red meat should be avoided. But the sustainable diet doesn't mean that the complete, the omission of the animal-based diet, but it is more about, preferring the plant-based diet more over to the animal-based diet.
Okay, so actually my question, I mean, you have answered it already. So my question was like, if any country doesn't have that, ambience where they can grow enough amount of vegetables, so they can go to this. So this is a basic debate point that vegetarians and non-vegetarians have. So yeah, I just wanted to that. Okay, so if any participant has any other question, you can ask in the chat box or Q&A box. And now, ma'am, the last question is, it is okay. I think we've got another question. Ma'am, is there any particular fruit which we should consume daily?
Yeah, thank you, Agnek, for a nice question. See, there is no particular fruit which should be consumed on an everyday basis. The fruit should only be consumed which are seasonal on that particular weather or on that particular climate, right? Like if you talk about summers, you should prefer eating mango, lychee, jamun, right? The apple, the guava, the papaya, which are seasonal, because when you prefer seasonal foods, they are more nutritionally sound, they are cheaper also, and they have more, the bioavailability of the nutrients. The non-seasonal food or the exotic foods which are stored for the longer period of time, they do not have the similar kind of nutritional value. The frozen, the stored foods, the vegetables, they have lesser nutritional the quantity or the the availability as compared to the seasonal one because they are stored. And there are many heat labile, temperature labile nutrients which are present in the fruit, so they keep on decreasing when you store it for the longer period of time. So you are not eating anything if you are consuming the non-seasonal food. It is not providing you anything.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. And Agnik, I hope that you've got the answer that you wanted of the question that you raised. And ma'am, another question is, what are the advancements? Okay, so Agnik says thank you. So what are the advancements that LPU students are doing in the field of this particular diet and the agriculture, and how they can benefit, and they can just join any industry? Are there any industries that are focused on the sustainable diet and making maybe use of this particular theme?
Not yet. We can say that the industry which is completely focusing on sustainable diet, but yes, industry has started adapting it. If you want to know more about it, so like I'll give you one example with that. That recently we signed an MOU with a very renowned industry, which is A Plus, and they are more into producing, the pulses, the grains, and all these things. And you will find their brand in all these stores. So they came to us with a problem that when we, grow grains, or when we process the grains or the pulses, so we get lots of waste. How we can utilize those waste? How we can, convert it into some value-added product? So we have taken that problem from the industry and we have started working on it, like the waste which is being, processed from the rajma, which has been collected from the rajma, it is still going to have protein. So how we can make, extract the protein out of that waste? So this is the kind of the advancement which industry require. But again, for that they need the support of the academician, those who can do the lab testing, those who can utilize the advanced method for, the utilizing the sources. So this is one of the examples. Yes, industry has started working on it because nobody wants to, loss in terms of the wastage. So everybody wants that dumping the waste also. So that's why they want to know that how we can utilize it, how we can, use it into some value added product, which again will give them profit and it's going to be healthy option.
Also, it can be an entrepreneur an idea that students can get from here. You can just set up your own industries and maybe join LPU, come here, learn things, and have your own interest and do wonders in the outside world.
So we have wonderful labs in our department, in our school. We have good equipments, we have good units also. We have a large agricultural field, right? More than 600 acres. So which where the students grow the crops, they process it, they make product out of it. They have experiential learning projects where they make products, they sell product, they learn how to the whole process from field to fork, right? Everything is going to be learned. And everything is going to be grown in our own university, small process in our own university. So LPU gives us a good opportunity, all of us to great opportunity of learning, new things every day. So yes, we have all the resources and the industries are also approaching us to utilize our resources.
Yes. And moreover to that, you have all the experts that you might need expert advice in the process, in the journey, and you'll find some of the best mentors here. You can join in, you can come in the LPU and you can call us, you can have a video counseling sessions as well. So with this, ma'am, I would like to thank you again for coming in, for crediting your time for us, for all the participants. And last word of thanks, the way you explained the queries, the presentation, thank you so much. And at the end, I would like to thank all the participants also for coming in, for joining. Also, I just want you all to know that if you've missed any part of this webinar, this will be uploaded on YouTube and you can find it on our site as well. That is lpu.in. So you can go and explore. There are different webinars that are already lined up. You can register for them for free and gain as much as knowledge as you want. So with this, ma'am, I just want to take your permission to wrap this webinar.
Thank you so much, Himanshi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the participants. So I take your leave, participants. Thank you, Agnik, for being here. And meet you soon in the next webinar. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much.